Okay, so I'm going to be doing this a little differently because I realized I forgot my tooth flipper back at the house, and without it, I really don't feel like showing my missing tooth because even myself looking at my videos, it kind of just like I'm not too fond of it. So for most of this live stream, I will be checking in on comments, but I will be just filming the trail itself. Let me go ahead and start my watch. So yes, this is going to be mostly about the Mariners and the fact that they are playing Game 3 tonight against the Toronto Blue Jays. And I do realize I do have some fans that are Canadian and are from Toronto. So yes, some friendly rivalry. Good to see you too, Lunar Light. So like I said, if you're just joining in, I will be checking in on you guys' comments. So onward I go. I'm going to try to see how I can do, considering this has been the first time I think I've gone live. I think it's the first time I've been this year, actually. I don't think I've been at all this year. I think it may have been almost a year since I've gone live. So yes, today is game number 3 in the ALCS championship. And so far, I want to say I think the best the Mariners have done at this level is 2-4. The last time they were in this situation was back in 2001, and they lost two games to 4. So right now they're 2-0. So we'll see if they can actually do a sweep. And it would be cool, like obviously if you're a sports fan, and that's another topic I'm going to get into, is how I became a sports fan. Let's see if anyone's... Thanks for joining in the calling and also Hull. So yeah, I'm probably going to do a standalone video on this topic, but I'll touch on it now since I'm out here anyways. So a long story made somewhat short is, let's go back to 1995. The first time the Mariners, I believe it was the first time the Mariners were even in the playoffs. 1995, I was 20 years old. Yep, 20 years old. I was big into like city inline skating, driving to places, parking my car and skating around various parking lots, thinking I was cool doing 360s off the curbs and just skating around. But now that I look back on that, I really see it as cringy, because like it wasn't really that popular. Mostly you would see, seems like one of the big things back in the day in the 90s was people hanging out at the mall. That was a big thing. Hanging out at your local Fred Meyer. That was also a big thing. Or a major grocery store. You'd see a bunch of like teens all parked in the parking lot, just kind of hanging out. I haven't really seen that, very often. And of course, people skateboarding. People skateboarding, doing their tricks, their ollies, jumping curbs, jumping sets of stairs. And so here I was, inline skating, thinking I was cool, thinking I would maybe become famous. And this was at a time where I was not a sports fan at all. I despised watching sports. I was envious. I was like, how can anyone watch football? It's so boring. How can anyone watch baseball? It is so boring. You're just sitting there watching some guy pitch a ball for 2.5 to 3 hours. But how it came to be was, let's go forward around 10, 13 years. And that's when I began playing ultimate frisbee for community college. I'm gonna peek around, check on comments. Thank you, Robin Diaz, for joining in. And yes, to calling, mentioning that not into watching sports, but playing sports. Yeah, that's been pretty much throughout my life. I've always been into playing sports, but was not into watching them. And this changed when I started playing ultimate frisbee for community college. Our team name was the Sand Fleas, because the community college was Sand Hills Community College in Pinehurst, North Carolina. So our team name was the Sand Fleas. And we even ended up playing some other college teams, like actual four-year universities. We played some of those teams. I can't recall how our record was. I did keep it in my journals, but unfortunately, half my journals have gone missing because they were in a storage shed back east, and that storage shed was taken down or taken to another location or probably sold off. So I no longer have access to those journals. But I want to say we did pretty good. I can't recall if we actually won or not, but regardless, I was into ultimate frisbee, learning all the ins and outs, learning how to cut. That was a big thing. Running and cutting, like being able to switch directions quickly. And so I got into that sport. I even played in a summer league. That was pretty cool. We made it to like the championships for that summer league, and unfortunately we lost. But here's how it got me into sports, was the act of like being able to catch an object and cutting. This got me really interested because now I realize that, okay, there's cutting in football. Maybe not so much in baseball, but football, that was a big one. And soon after, I started watching football just to kind of watch how these guys are making passes, how they were trying to evade the defense, whoever was like guarding them on defense. And they're using all these cutting techniques. And lo and behold, that's how I became a football fan. And a few years after that, found myself going to my first NFL game. It was the Saints game. They won. It was the same year the Saints actually won the Super Bowl. So that was pretty cool. All right, I'm gonna peek around, check more comments. Okay, so Matt and Wild Honey and Louie have joined in. And so, yeah, so that's how I became a sports fan. And then eventually it just started creeping in to other sports. Shortly after was hockey, ice hockey. And it was like right at the time when they were kind of transitioning out from when it used to be like you would see all these fights in hockey games. I guess now it's more, they don't really have that, too much anymore. But when I was living in Pensacola, Florida, I used to always go to these local hockey games. And it was funny because the very first game I went to, well, before the first play even got started, well, it resulted in a fight. Yep. First thing I ever see during any kind of live hockey game is, of course, a fight. But now it's more just watching the game, especially like Seattle, the team would be the Kraken. And so their first season, I believe they actually made the playoffs. And so that started getting me into watching hockey. And then shortly after that was baseball. I started watching a couple of local games with some local teams. I think they call themselves the Bellingham Bells. Watched a couple of those games. I'm like thinking, oh, baseball's not that bad. Now, of course, it's not like action-packed like football or hockey, But you just kind of like, you can look at like what kind of pitches they're throwing, how fast they're pitching. You know, are they going to get a double play? Will it be like that coveted triple play? I've yet to see that even on television. And so, yep, here we are now, Wednesday, and the Mariners and Blue Jays play tonight at 5 o'clock here in Seattle. So someone was mentioning a tunnel. No, there is no tunnel up here. That's a different trail. There is actually a trail where you go through a 2-mile long tunnel, no lighting, completely dark. And I'm not sure how well that would work for live streaming because of reception issues. I'm not even sure if would get reception at the trailhead. But it will be cool to do an actual video walking through that tunnel, because there is literally a long stretch in that tunnel where you can't see any light at all. You can't see the light from either end of the tunnel. So I guess if you're someone that has a fear of darkness, well, that would be a good spot to try and overcome your fear. I would recommend doing it though, first time on a weekend when you're more than likely going to have many other hikers, walkers, runners doing it. And then as you become more brave, you can maybe consider doing it on a weekday, maybe even doing it earlier in the day. And then when you get really comfortable, well, then you can attempt to do it at night. But at that point, it really doesn't matter, because it's like, if it's completely dark inside a tunnel, it doesn't really matter what it is, you know, whether it's day or night outside the tunnel. Okay, so yes, the Mariners are attempting to do what they have never done in franchise history, and that is make it to the World Series. Yes, the only Major League Baseball team to never have made it to the World Series. To me, and to probably many other people out there, this is symbolic. I've got someone. Okay, I'm gonna have to tone it down. So I'm coming across another hiker. So. Okay, I'm just gonna get past it. And they got a lot of dogs. Oh no, I thought they had 4 dogs. Okay, those are small dogs. Let me try to keep it away from them. Okay, so yes, so I see some people are definitely rooting for the Blue Jays. They're saying like in 6 games. And someone is at Emery Memory is asking where I'm hiking. I am going up this trail I may go up to what I like to call the second viewpoint. This trail has like a series of different viewpoints. You've got the very first one. Actually, yeah, I would say it's the second one. The first one I'm about to reach, and probably another, at my pace that I'm going right now, maybe another 5 to 7 minutes. That's the first viewpoint. It's the halfway point to the second viewpoint. Now there is another viewpoint, the main one, that I refer to as the traditional viewpoint, because it actually follows, to get to it, there's actually a trail in those trees. It's the main trail that people will walk, hike, jog, even mountain bike, and it goes all the way up to the main viewpoint. And then you can go further up the trail but there is no viewpoint at the end of the trail. It's called the terminus. So it's about my GPS usually has it at around 2.1 miles from the trailhead to the main viewpoint. And then it's like another 2.4 miles to the end of the terminus. And then to actually get the view, a good view, you would have to go right, take a right. You'll be on a dirt road. You'll reach a gate, and at the gate, you turn left, and then you turn left again, and you just pretty much follow a ridge line and just look for the electric tower. You'll know you're at the top because you're pretty much right next to the highest electric tower within the general area. Okay, so I see that I have some people watching here, tuning in. They are going for the Blue Jays. And they too have, they're overcoming, what is it? I think it's been, the last time they won the World Series was back in 1993. They won the World Series back to back, both in 1992 and 93. So for them, it's been 32 years since they've been in the World Series. The Mariners have never been to the World Series. Oh yeah, so Matt was mentioning, yes, back in 95, it seemed like the Mariners were huge, but I was also living in the area too. And it's interesting because up here in Bellingham, I really haven't heard much of the Mariners other than the fact that I started hearing about them, at least, well, I mean, I've known about them, but I really started tuning in when they were mentioning having like this phenomenal late season surge in performance and wins, and like how they beat the Astros. And so I became really interested at that point, because it's interesting that up here in Bellingham, you don't really hear people talking much about baseball. But now that they're in the playoffs, I actually heard, I've heard a couple people mention them, but I'm sure in the Seattle area or further down south from where I'm at, I'm sure right now there are people tailgating it, hosting parties, even hosting barbecues on this crisp fall day, even though it's not even above 60 degrees outside. I'm sure your bars and pubs and other eateries are getting jammed packed with fans waiting for the game. I bet you, as of right now, people are probably like already cramming these places, especially near the Seattle area. Let's see, because we're only a few hours away from the start of the game. Okay, so here's the first viewpoint I was referring to. So this is the first one. At this point, you have gone about 0.8 of a mile, and you've gone around 650 vertical feet. So this is viewpoint number one. The second viewpoint, which I'm going to be stopping and turning around at, is right up there. So you see those trees to the left, or maybe to your right, depending on, they're to my left. There's clear opening to the right of those trees as I'm looking up. That's where I'm stopping. And that is the second viewpoint. So this road here is actually a pretty good training road for running. However, I don't like how about a year ago they put a bunch of this loose rock here on this trail. before they did this, it was actually nice and compact. It was kind of ruddy, but there was a lot of areas where it was good footing. You didn't have all this soft rock, because this soft rock, you know, it slows you down quite a bit. And going downhill, you do have that extra risk of sliding out, like, especially like if you're a heel striker, you can easily have a rock slide out from underneath you and end up falling down. So if anything, I think this surface is a little more hazardous than if they had just left it alone. But oh well, can't really do much about it. And it's like this up until about 1.15 miles. And then it becomes more like what I'm walking on here, the center part. This center part is how it actually used to look like all across, you know, all the way across. And it makes it better for running. Yeah, you don't lose as much of your power. And it can also be beneficial for doing speed work on the hill. But trying to do speed work on this loose rock doesn't work so well. Okay, so I'm gonna check and see if I've missed any comments. So yeah, DW, looks like you're rooting for the Blue Jays. Also keep the faith, like my dad used to say. Oh yeah. Oh yes. And I admit, this is the one thing about live streams, is it can be hard to stay directly on topic. But I guess that's kind of the whole point of like standalone videos, is that's where I can really focus on the topic at hand. And let's see if I see any blackberries. This is normally a good spot for blackberries, but it looks like we're a little late in the season. Yeah, here are some berries. Ooh, looks like I got myself a little berry here. Blackberry. That was a good tasty snack. Who would have ever thought? Blackberries in mid-October. All right, so onward I go. Okay, so what I was trying to say is the Mariners, on their way to achieving something they have never done before, is very symbolic of what a lot of us out there in life face. You know, society has like those milestones that you've got to reach. And these milestones can be anywhere from owning your own apartment, owning your own house, or landing that good, you know, landing what you would feel is a good job, getting married, having kids. Now, these are just milestones that society kind of dictates. And of course, you know, I think that's kind of the root to a lot of issues, is the fact that we consider these like milestones that one has to achieve. But regardless, whether it's trying to achieve some goal or do something that hasn't been done before, or maybe do something where like the underdog. I wouldn't necessarily say the Mariners are underdogs now, but it does kind of make you think of those situations about the underdog, whether it's a team, an individual. And yes, the ability, because right now I have the feeling that the Mariners, they're playing on pure heart. Yes, you got skill, you got talent, you've got all this training, but right now they are also playing with pure 100% heart, knowing that they are probably as close as they have ever been to achieving a feat that all other teams have, but that the Mariners haven't. And that in itself can probably make most, if not anyone, you know, persevere with full-on dedication and heart. Okay, so yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at as far as the Mariners. And the other thing too is I was thinking, if you notice how like certain sports fans, you know, for certain teams, they like to carry like their towels or like their cloths. Like I know the Pittsburgh Steelers fans and their yellow cloths. And I know there's a lot of other teams have their yellow cloths, but like, I was thinking, what if Seattle fans all went in there with brooms? Now, probably because of security issues, they probably wouldn't allow that. If every single person went into the stadium with brooms to symbolize a sweep. But it would make for, if someone's really creative, they could probably come up with like a mini broom, like something that you can hold in your hand. So instead of using like a cloth, you wave brooms, like you make sweeping motions with brooms. Now, of course, I'm sure if you're a Blue Jays fan, you probably don't want to hear me talking about sweeping or sweeps or brooms. But I'm coming from someone who looks at like the fact that you're trying to achieve a milestone that all the other teams have, but yet they haven't. It's like individuals who have not achieved any of the milestones that society dictates, but yet they're still fighting. They're still trying to do it, even if the odds are completely stacked against them. Okay, so as you can see, I'm getting closer to my turnaround spot up there. So now, if you want to go, there's another way you can get to the main viewpoint as well. And that is, if you make a right at this junction, you will also end up at the main viewpoint that pretty much most people turn around at. And that's if you just head right over here, and you just follow that trail up that way till the very end, and you'll reach the main viewpoint. And then up to my left here are mountain bike trails. So these are, this is part of the, let's see, what trail is it? Oh, only open to biking. And it's because it's the lower Brown Pow Trail. And yes, it's essentially a downhill mountain bike only track. And people start from way, I mean, they start from, you can't even see the top from here. They start from like around, let's see, a little over 2,000 feet above the lake. So that's the main trail that people will come here if they're mountain biking. Sometimes people will bike up this trail, which can be challenging, but it would also be it would be a good workout too. And then they go all the way to the top. They may even go past the gate and do some trails further up in that area. But yeah, so I'm about just a little over a third of a mile away from my turnaround point. And let's see what my average speed has been. So yeah, I've been going pretty slow. See, I've been doing 2.6 miles an hour. Normally, if I'm doing a fast walk, I'll be at the viewpoint in around 29 to 31 minutes, depending on how I'm feeling. That's if I'm doing a decent brisk walk. But if I tried to do that, then it would be hard for me to kind of make a video and be easy to understand. Because I'd be like, I would be breathing, more focusing on my breathing and not on what I'm saying. Okay. Oh yeah, Those are the days, the 90s. Mariners back in the 90s. You had the big unit, Randy Johnson. Oh yeah, I remember that. Now it's bringing back memories. 95, that was when they had their star pitcher, Randy Johnson, the big unit. Then they had their designated hitter. I believe his name was Edgar Martinez. I believe he was strictly a hitter only. I don't think he played in the outfield. I could be wrong, but I recall him being pretty much like just a designated hitter only. Then of course Ken Griffey Jr. Oh yeah, Ken Griffey. There actually used to be mountain bike trails that would go right by his house. I remember one time I was mountain biking with a group of friends back in the mid-90s, and yep, we rode past Ken Griffey Jr.'s house. He must have had like, I don't know, like 20 jet skis or those wave runners in the driveway. I'm like, yeah, 20 of those. But they've since taken down those trails, and now it's like, I think it's like a gated community now. Oh yeah, who was the other player? A-Rod, yeah, Alex Rodriguez. Those are the four that I remember. And then I think shortly after, you had, I can't recall his name, Ichiko or something. Yeah, I can't recall, but yeah, those were the big four. Randy Johnson, Alex Rodriguez, Edgar Martinez, and Ken Griffey Jr. And I'm sure there were others, but those are the main four I remember back from the mid-90s era. So yeah, it's gonna definitely be, because here's how I see it. Okay, the Mariners are up 2-0. Who would have ever thought they would have won 2 away games in Toronto? But you got to think, Toronto could be thinking, all right, well, we're going to come out swinging and we're going to redeem ourselves. We're not going to win 2 away games at Seattle. And then, of course, next thing you know, now it's going to come down to like a interesting scenario where you've got who's going to win game 3, which is also game 5, which is also in Seattle. And then the last 2, if it comes down to a game 6 or 7, are in Toronto. Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a nail biter. So if you're one of those lucky fans who were able to get tickets, regardless of what team you're rooting for, yeah, it's probably going to be a very exciting and very stressful 3 to 4 hours or longer. Obviously, when the Mariners won game 5 against the LA Dodgers, that was definitely a nail biter and a half. 15 innings, the longest Major League Baseball game postseason where winner took all. Now, hence, it wasn't the longest postseason game overall, but it was the longest postseason game winner take all, meaning like whoever won that game went on to play the next round, the next series. Okay, so I'm coming up, getting close to my turnaround point up here. And this is the time of year where all the berries are pretty much, disappearing. Bears are starting to look for their hibernation spots. So all that's really left up here to contend with after around late October are, of course, cougars. That's really, either a bear or a cougar is something to be a little wary of. But when you've got to, contend with both of them, yeah, that just makes it that can make it a little bit more unnerving. But during the winter months, well, instead of two, you've just got one. Okay, so, yep, getting close to my designation turnaround up here. I have gone just a little over 1.5 miles. And let's see. Let's see if I got. Doggo! Yes, I'm streaming because it's as part of your suggestion, and also the fact that it's been forever since I've done my last one. And I figured this was a good way to kind of get in a good recovery walk. Not doing anything strenuous, not getting my heart rate too elevated. I would call this a near perfect recovery walk effort. And so here I've gone 1.6 miles, or just a little over 2.5 kilometers. And so this is what I refer to as viewpoint number 2. Yep. So now you can see, you can definitely tell you are much higher above the lake, and it also feels like you're a little bit further away as well. And during the summer months, especially late June through July, this area right here is essentially cluttered with those oxeye daisies. Oh yeah, those white daisies with the yellow center. This is pretty much filled with daisies. And I have made them a taste-worthy snack during those months, but there are none to be found here today because it is way past the season. Another flower or plant that's really active during that same time are the foxgloves. They too are now non-existent up here because we are past the season, but the oxeye daisy and the foxgloves are in high abundance in this area during, late June through probably early August. Then they start dying off from around that point onward. So there we go. There's the lake. At this point right here, we're around 1,240 feet above the lake from this viewpoint. And then if you go onward, you'll reach the crest, which is about another 1.4 miles from here. And that's where you get another viewpoint, but it's not as clear as this one. It's kind of hidden by the trees. And then from there, if you want to really get the good viewpoint, you've got another 1.1 miles. You go past the gate, and then of course you can follow the ridge line all the way to the very top, and then you're a little over 2,400 feet above the lake. And I have done some videos from up there previously. So yeah, this is definitely, but right now, it's like this up in that area, way up the top. If you want to get the good viewpoint, a lot of this dead foliage, vegetation. So it makes it kind of tricky if you're trying to run. Very easy to get caught up and trip over. So kind of waiting for the rains and the winds to kind of plow it down before I do any running higher up. But yeah, this is kind of a popular trail, whether you're mountain biking or hiking or running. And so yeah, if you go up that way, you can get to viewpoint. I guess you could say there's viewpoint 3 and number 4. 4 being at the crest, and then 5 is if you're wanting to go that extra mile and really treat yourself to a good view. Okay, so now I'm making my way back down. So the trail surface, this last part where once I passed that one junction where that porta potty was, the surface is pretty much like this the rest of the way up. So it does make it pretty nice for running. And so if I'm doing a training run, I'll generally use that lower section as my warm-up, but then I'll significantly increase the effort once I get to this section where the surface is more runner friendly. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I've got any more comments here. Ben with an N is asking, where am I? I am on the east side of Bellingham, near Lake Whatcom. That's where I'm at. So that's east side. Basically, this is the east side of the Bellingham area. It's outside the city limits, and it's on the east side of Lake Whatcom. And let's see, I got someone. Let's see, someone else. Nico is asking, am I still going to Columbia this year? I was hoping to, but unfortunately, my job situation this year wasn't too friendly. I am starting a seasonal role, and see, in less than 2 weeks, I'm starting a seasonal role, and then I'm also working with an employment specialist. I'm actually working with 2 different employment specialists and seeing what I can do as far as finding something more permanent. But right now, I'll be starting a seasonal role in less than 2 weeks. But yeah, unfortunately, the job market this year, and it's been affecting a lot of people. So this job market's really been a mess. I mean, it's like ghosting. So if you're out there looking for a job, I'm sure you can all relate. Ghosting, fake job postings, 4 and 5 round interviews, tailoring your resume several different times. Let's see. Oh yeah, the automated rejection email at 1 a.m. in the morning. Scammers. Oh, that's out of all those, I think the most annoying one is actually all the scammers. I've been getting so many of these emails or texts saying, we have, based on such and such, like, we are recruiting because we saw you in our database and it looks like you've got these skills, $200 to $600 a day in pay, same day pay, or earn up to $5,000 to $8,000 a day, only working 1 to 2 hours a day. Or the email saying, hi, I am a recruiter from so-and-so. We came across your resume, are impressed with your skills. But then you look at the email, and here, so for all of you people out there, don't fall for these scams. The number one first thing you look for, if you ever get an email from someone that claims to be a recruiter, and they're claiming like, hey, we came across your profile and think you've got these great skills. If you look at the email and it ends in like a personal email address like Gmail, delete it. It is pretty much 100%. No, it is 100% a scam. Recruiters are not going to email you from their personal email account. They're going to have like a professional email account. Like for instance, yesterday, I actually got a recruiter from a legit company. And I could tell because it was like, okay, I've worked for these people before. So yeah, so be very wary of who are you responding to, and don't click on any links before you see who it's sent from. And another red flag is if they don't give specifics on the job they're referring you to. So like they might say like, oh, we are impressed with your skills. We have this great opportunity. Please let us know if you'd like to learn more about this opportunity. They're very vague in their email. And then also another one are typos. There'll oftentimes be lots of typos. It will be very unprofessionally written. So yeah, just be on the lookout, because if you click on a link or if you click on an attachment from this email, well, you might find yourself having to do some computer cleanup. So stay away from those recruiter emails with those personal email addresses. No bueno. Very annoying. Yep, I would say that is the number one most annoying thing, is the scammers. The next one would probably be the ghosting. That would probably be the next most annoying thing, would be getting ghosted. Okay. That's it. All right, I see Parker Peters has joined. And see, how long have I been doing this now? It looks like I've probably been live for about 45 minutes. All right, so now I'm just kind of enjoying a nice, easy downhill trail run. And so this is also a good section. From this point upward is great for trail running, especially like working your speed. If you want to get faster with downhill trail running, at least developing higher turnover. But once you get past the porta potty, yeah, you want to be careful, because the surface gets pretty bad, lots of loose rock, and the increased likelihood of slipping on loose rocks. But yeah, so that's, and I have sensed, oh yeah, let's see, what else I want to say? Oh yeah, shoes. I have gone from Hoka's to Salomon's. Oh yeah, Hoka's. I don't know what's happened to Hoka shoes, but their quality has gone downhill. I mean, the first pair of Hoka's I ever got, they were great. They lasted me like easily over 6 months. They were comfortable. They had good grip on it. They had good grip, good traction. They were cushioned, so you could, like, you know, not really put strain on your joints. Then I got my second pair. They were okay. They lasted a few months. But then after that, that's when the quality went really downhill. Like, they were lasting me like only a month. I got 2 pairs after that. Both of them only lasted me about a month before rocks would, like these rocks here, would penetrate the soles of the shoe. Yeah, and then the last pair I got them at REI. They lasted me 2 runs. On my second run, using Hoka's, I had one of these rocks penetrate the heel of the shoe, and I'm like, yep, I took the shoes back, and now Salomon's. And have not had any issues with these Salomons. I've had them for over 4 months, and they are still holding strong. So that's my new trail running shoe for now. That's Salomon. Let's see, what brand is this? It is a Salomon. I can't see what it is, but yeah, that's Salomon's. Oh, and another thing I like about these shoes is they don't have the traditional laces. Yes, I can't stand traditional shoelaces because they keep coming untied. One of the most annoying things when you're on your way to having a PR or having a good race and your shoelace comes untied, even though you thought you tied it as tight as possible, it still comes undone on you. All right, so yeah, I'm back onto this loose rock surface. So not going too all out here. And there, all right. There's a lake right there. At this point, you're around 800 vertical feet above the lake. At this point, the first viewpoint that you come to, which is right down there, is about 150 vertical feet lower. All right, so we got, and the mountain bike trail, you can't see it from the trail here, but the mountain bike trail goes through those trees down there. So yes, this is an interesting, so yeah, you can't see it, but the mountain bike trail is in those trees down there. And this section of the road, a couple of years ago, they had a lot of snow in this area, and the snow, it warmed up a little bit, then cooled back down. The snow compacted a little bit, and this actually made for a very fun ski down. I do want to say I do have a video on my Instagram of when I was skiing down this, and I still managed to hit 31 miles an hour, 50 kilometers an hour, coming down this road skiing. So I'm hoping we have another snow event this year, and next time there's a section that's about as steep as this section here, but it's longer and it's more sustained. So that will be interesting to see if I can time that right. Ideally, would be cool if they got a lot of snow, it warmed up a bit, compacted, got a little bit more snow, then it would warm up a little bit, and then it would freeze. So then you would have an icy surface to go down. That would be something to look forward to. Skiing down, relatively smooth snow that's been iced over with a little bit of an icy glaze on it for that little bit of extra speed. And I'd probably be able to ski all the way down this trail. Okay, but that's up to the weather gods, and they're going to provide those conditions. Let's see, I'm here at the blackberry spot. Do I find any more blackberries? Are there any more blackberries here? No, looks like I'm out of luck. No more freshly grown blackberries. Okay, so SH has joined, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting in what I would call a recovery walk / easy down. I wouldn't even consider this running. I would just say a light downhill intermittent jog, and just kind of waiting, killing time, waiting for the Mariners game to start. It starts at 5 o'clock tonight. Aside from that, gardening, well, I'm still getting some peppers growing. Can you believe that? Let's see, what else? Lots of cucumbers. Oh yes, that has probably been our crop. I don't even know if I can call it a crop, but it has been, our fruit has been cucumber. Obviously, if you've seen on my recent shorts and shorter videos, yeah, you're probably wondering, does all Donnie do is make cucumber videos now? But yeah, that's pretty much been our top producing plant, have been cucumbers. We have had some luck with tomatoes, but I'm not a big fan of tomatoes. My roommates are, but I'm not. I'm more like the peppers, the cucumber, and of course we got that big pumpkin. We have one giant pumpkin, but it looks like it's gotten it's flattened. So instead of like getting nice and round and plumpy looking, it's gotten pretty flat. It's funny looking. I'll have to upload a picture of it. But regardless, it's still pretty big. And then also another fruit that I had success with this year was Japanese eggplant. Japanese eggplant had one habanero plant that produced some pretty tiny habaneros. I may have to make a video on how you can develop a spice tolerance for habaneros, because I've discovered that if you're someone that wants to develop a taste for habaneros, but you find them too spicy. Well, if you grow your own habanero plant and just somehow make it so that it grows super tiny habanero peppers, well, that's a good way to build up your tolerance, because a really small pepper is not as potent as like a much bigger pepper. So I think I've got like 3 or 4 small miniature habanero peppers left, and a couple serrano peppers, and oh yeah, another star plant that we had this year was the time bomb pepper plant. Yes, that's the actual name of the pepper, that the time bomb cherry peppers. Those were really good. We had a lot of those, probably easily over 30 time bomb cherry peppers. Very juicy, sweet, but also a little spicy. And we had a little bit of luck with some red Fresno peppers. Oh yeah, the Fresno pepper reminds me of when I was in Fresno, California earlier this year on my trip to Half Dome. Oh yeah, Half Dome. Can't believe it's almost been 4 months since I'd done Half Dome. Yes, Parker, the Mariners are indeed doing pretty well. In their last 2 games, I believe they only allowed the Blue Jays to score 4 points, and the Mariners scored, let's see, what was it, 13, well, regardless, the Mariners, they significantly outscored the Blue Jays in their recent 2 games. So yeah, I would say they're playing pretty well. It is going to be, I wish I could go to a game. I really wish I could go to an actual game and be there in person. I would say if you're looking for a truly electrifying experience, well, that is probably a place to go experience it, especially when you're going to be in a stadium for a team that have never made the World Series. I can imagine, even from the get-go, even before the game starts, it is going to be hella loud in there. Yeah, it's definitely got to be one of those experiences to be in a playoff game where the Mariners have never been to the World Series, the other team haven't been to the World Series in over 30 years. You got 2 teams that got a lot to play for, and yeah, you're going to have for a very electrifying crowd. Yeah, even when I was watching Game 5 of the Mariners against the Dodgers, I could even feel it through the television, especially like when they were especially like that last inning, the 15th inning, when the batter was like 3-2, the crowd just started getting lit up at that point. And then when he made that, what's his name? Jorge Polanco. Sorry if I get his name wrong, but I believe it's Jorge Polanco. When he made that base hit, oh, that's when the crowd just, I felt that through the television screen, never mind being there in person. That's got to be a whole different experience. So you're not only going to the game just to watch some ball, you're going there for the camaraderie, you're going there for the experience, and you never know. People are like in an enhanced state of like euphoria, and this is probably more so of if the team is winning, but regardless, I would say it's probably definitely a good area. It's probably definitely a good spot to perhaps even potentially form connections. Would I dare to say, going to a game like that? So yeah, but it is what it is. Tickets are way out of my budget, unfortunately. I can imagine, I would think that it's probably next to impossible to find any tickets by now. And even if you did, they would probably easily be in the thousands of dollars for tickets. Okay, so I'm continuing to make my way down here. Let's see if I find any more blackberries. Oh, any blackberries here? Ah, I should have been up here. I should have come up here like 2.5 weeks ago. I would have had myself a feast. Lots of fresh blackberries. Yeah, I never see the point of buying blackberries from like the month of August. Oh, I see some red ones up there. They're not fully ripened. So maybe in a week or so, I might have some blackberries. Oh yeah, there's 3 up in there. Yep, there's 3 blackberries up in there. So, but let's see. Yeah, maybe I'll have. Sometimes you just gotta. You never know. Okay, that looks like I'm not coming across any blackberries here. Oh well. Another berry that I really enjoy is thimbleberry. And you're not going to find those in stores because they're very fragile. They're like a raspberry, but they're super delicate, really soft, and I find they are even better tasting than raspberries. They're thimbleberries, and I encountered them about 2.5 miles up this trail. And again, at about 3.5 miles up the trail, yep, thimbleberries. Very similar looking to raspberries, but a lot more delicate and a lot more tasty. Oh, yeah, see. Okay, so Doggo has a good suggestion. Let's see, so he's saying I should get, well, I still got a few minutes left. Let's see. Are any of you out there, what team, I'm gonna say this, what team are you guys rooting for? The Blue Jays or the Mariners? So I'm gonna let you guys respond to that one. And also what I get for comments. So once again, the question is, what team are you rooting for? Blue Jays or the Mariners? All right, so we got Doggo saying the Mariners because of Ken Griffey Jr. Anyone else? Oh yeah, I remember when that used to be a big thing back when I was in grade school. Collecting baseball cards. Oh yeah. All right, so while I'm waiting to get answers on that first question, how many of you out there are sports fans? Or if you are sports fans, what made you become one? Are you someone out there, or do you even like to watch sports, or you just prefer to play them? Let me know what you guys think. Are any of you out there sports fans in general, or do you just prefer to play them? Mariners, so the sport I'm talking about as far as the Mariners and Blue Jays, it's baseball. Yes, baseball. No, I don't have my childhood cards. They are long gone. Anything from pretty much my first 40 years of existence, unfortunately, is gone. Because whatever I did have was in a storage shed that I had that my mom had back in North Carolina. And it has since been removed. We don't know what happened to it. We don't know if it got stolen, but she had it on someone's property, and the owners of the property ended up having it removed. and we have not been able to get in contact. So we are pretty much guessing that our goods that were inside that shed are gone. So yep, I have literally no memorabilia from my first 40 years of existence. But I guess, okay, that is what it is. All right, let's see. Let's see. For those of you, if you're watching, talking about sports, if you're into, oh, this is a good one. If you're into exercising, and this is something I've debated, if you're into exercising, what do you prefer? Strength training or cardiovascular, like running, cycling, treadmill? Are you more big into lifting weights, resistance training, explosive training, or more cardiovascular? Because that's also a common one that people always seem to debate. It's like, which form of exercise is best for your health? Okay. So I'm getting close to the end of my recovery walk / easy jog. So I'll be wrapping things up here in a few minutes. So Doggo is saying yes to both resistance training and running. Yes, I would agree. I think doing both is actually most beneficial. And this is gonna be another. I'm actually gonna make a video on this topic as well, on post race blues, because I thought this was something that I only experienced, or that very few people experience, but it's actually a lot more common than what I was led to believe. It's called, it can be called the post-marathon blues or the post-race blues, but I guess it's pretty common among many athletes. And I read an article yesterday saying that 1 out of 4 marathon runners suffer from depression. Now, of course, this is just only one article, but I did find that interesting. So maybe that's another good reason to do both, is that maybe there's something about cardiovascular training and training for races that can cause post-race depression, the post-race blues. Okay, but I don't know, that's for another topic. So yes, I'll have to keep that in mind for future live streams, is that next time I'm on, make sure I ask you guys some questions too. But I do have to say that this was kind of, it's been a while since I've streamed. And second, I forgot my tooth flipper, which is like an artificial tooth that helps cover my missing tooth. That's really noticeable because, I don't know, I don't like making long videos with that gap in my mouth. So I completely forgot my flipper back at home. And so that's why you see me pointing the camera away from me for most of this video. So next time I'll make sure that I don't forget the flipper. But I guess it gave you guys a good idea of the scenery, the local scenery. But yeah, let's see how far I've gone. So I did essentially 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, at an average pace of about 22, 23 minute miles. No, more like 24, 25 minute mile pace. Okay, so 2 of my teeth are missing. One of my teeth that's in my lower lower right. It's not very noticeable unless I'm really speaking or smiling widely. It's not too noticeable. The other one is in my top center. That's the one that's really noticeable, and it's very easy to spot, obviously. So that's the one I'm really self-conscious about, is the one that's in the upper center. Yeah, the other one I've been missing. I've been missing that tooth for what, since 2015, I believe. Yeah, I think I had that extracted back in 2015 or 16. So it's been a while for that one. But the recent one was only a few months ago. So that's the one I'm really more self-conscious about. But yeah, I'm coming down to the end down here. All right, so I think this is gonna do it for now. Like I said, apologies if this wasn't the smoothest, but I'm a little rusty when it comes to live streaming. So thanks to Doggo, Parker Peters, DW, SH. I believe I had Louis on there for a little bit. You'll have to let me know, because I'm also seeing something on my screen that indicates top fans. And this is something I've noticed too when I'm watching a live stream, is I'll see like this XP, like 25, 50 top fans. That's something I have not seen that before. So feel free to let me know if you guys see that at all. Let's see, did I miss it? No. Nico and Ben with an N. Let's see, who else did I miss? A question that Doggo had earlier was, are there any snakes? No, there are no snakes on this trail. Maybe the occasional gardener snake, but I don't really consider that a threat. I don't think gardener snakes are really a threat. So no snakes to be worried about on this trail. I see, oh yeah, thanks to, also shout out to Himini, Wild Honey, Matt, let's see, anyone else that I'm missing here? Emery, and I think I got everyone. Lunar Light, shout out to Lunar Light. The Calling, oh yes, The Calling, not forgetting about you. Holo, yes, shout out to Holo. All right, so I think I got to everyone. Well, thank you for all tuning in. I'll try to be a little bit more consistent with this. But yeah, I'm be on the lookout for a video that kind of goes more into detail on how I became a sports fan, where I can more really focus and just kind of share my story on how I became a sports fan and how it can be used to help motivate, whether, you know, I'm not saying you need to become a sports fan, but I'm kind of using it as a way to motivate myself, to kind of give me inspiration. So once again, thank you all for tuning in. And yeah, well, I'm going for the Seattle Mariners. Go Mariners! All right, thank you for watching. All right, peace out.